Hello, this is colleague J.N.S. with Nakhti University, and I just want to give a theoretical scenario on the situation with the data centers. And so this is just a theoretical military science exercise, and how would one handle, or how could a nation of people, a group of people in a government in which turns to dictatorship and fascism, how would they circumvent, or how could they get themselves out of a situation when, after they have made it loud and clear that they don't want the data centers in their neighborhood and they don't want data centers? How do you fight that off in the event that the government just says, doesn't care about EPA laws, or doesn't care about violating environmental rights, such as your water and land, and energy? So I want to just give a brief working theoretical framework for a scenario in which that was the case, and how would one combat that? Not just one, but literally the American people, or wherever in the world where this is a threat to them. And so your first thing would be looking at your constitution surrounding the assembly of militias. So in America, militias are illegal. In America, militias are illegal when it comes to tyranny, violations of constitutional law, and whatnot. So we already know that. We know in America that militias are illegal. There's just no debating that. Everybody should know that by now. With that being said, when it comes to the influx of data centers in your neighborhood and where you are at, legally, you can say, we need to form militias. Usually you're going to form militias in your Pacific districts or your town, with the goal of fighting forces that are against humanity. Do not try to start these militias to start race wars. Do not try to start these militias to try to oppress other groups of people. Oh, we gonna use our militia against, making it a race thing like y'all always do. God's hand not gonna be on it, and it's going to fail. I'm just letting you know. It is a group of people that's trying to start up like some, nationalist, white nationalist militias on some covert level, just trying to monitor black people or whoever else is in the country. I'm letting you know now that it will, with 100% certainty, that it is going to fail. God's hand is not going to be on no low frequency shit. It's not going to be on some low frequency stuff. It's just not this time. But in the event that, you're dealing with data centers, that's environmental threat to the earth. That's environmental threat to the water supply, energy consumption, animals, livestock, okay? Fruits and veggies, all of that. So we understand at that point you do need to combat that. And so this is the working framework. Militias, okay? That's stage one. Then you want a list of all of the companies that contribute to the building up of the data centers. Your manufacturers, your distributors, the CEOs, anybody that makes the parts. You want to get a list of that. You want to publicly list those companies, and you encourage all the American people to boycott them immediately. Boycott. So believe it or not, is Elon Musk building data centers? He'll be on the list. That means any of his projects that go for any of them, anybody, any of the projects that they building, you would boycott it. Now, if it's a lesser known company, Elon is the only one. It ain't even nothing personal. He's just the one that's out there in the midst because he like to be famous for and copying other ideas and stuff, But the other ones, that's more low key, that may be supplying some sort of apparatus that builds up those data centers. You wanna include them too, because it could be a parts, something with parts, manufacturing parts, something that motor parts. You know what I mean? To get the motor on it, wiring, copper, all of these things. Any of them that contribute to the building of a data center, list it all publicly, boycott. So you got your militias. And I'm going to tell you what the militias are for. So you got the militias organized. You got your boycott of components that create the data centers. Now, the actual building up of the data centers. For one, this is the third step. You need to give the warning. Again, this is during wartime. This is when you see motherfuckers getting diagnosed with stuff. Maybe you don't want to wait that late, but I'm talking about like these centers is giving off radiation that's causing, cancer and whatnot. These centers fishes is dying all in the rivers and all this stuff. We see a bunch of, that's when you know. And it may be before then, but I'm just saying, like, don't let it get too bad. You know what I mean? People complaining about the noise. People are complaining about the energy bills. Just the energy bill going up alone is enough for warfare. Is enough for violation of the Constitution. They violated the Constitution. Just that alone. They violated EPA laws. Look to see if those executive orders were actually implemented in the changing of EPA laws. But also, you don't need nobody to tell you what a law is when it comes to protecting the environment. You don't need nothing on the books. Because if they just told you loyalty is greater than law, which is honestly a flaw. When we coming out of the school of Kemet and knowing how the Commission civilizations were built, we already know the type of mindset we dealing with when we hear that level of stupidity. Okay? And we taught them the nobility in Europe, as far as the nobility, the princes, the kings, the mindset to have. And look, I ain't gonna go there. But when you hear somebody say they value loyalty over law, you already know it's about to be Wild Wild West days. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay? You have a president say that it's about to be Wild Wild West days. That's what they telling you. That's not what I'm saying. That's what they're telling you. And you can see that because of the way they changed all the laws and don't care about stuff. Don't care about the laws. Don't care about nothing. It's about profit. Do clear outside, they say the insider trading. The insider trading is just all out in the public. Even the conspiracy that insider trade was illegal. Now it's just all out in the open. So you got market manipulations. So one tweet or one word can influence a market. You can't even trust it anymore. As far as the natural ecosystem of supply and demand. Beyond that, though, you got your militias. Now it's come to the building up of these data centers. Let's get back on track. Somebody already told you they value loyalty over law. But what are you being loyal to is the question you should ask. What am I being loyal to? What do I get out of it? And are you paying me to genocide myself? And that's pretty much what they're doing in American people. Is that they're playing a money game. It's the money is being used as a weapon to get them to do something that they otherwise would not do. And that's what you're being loyal to? Fiat, I guess it's, the crypto thing. You see, so it's a very unintelligent system, You may not like me, but just like you're getting a bug in your ass about some one person that you may not like. But I've been on the outs my whole life. It don't mean nothing to me. I've been an outsider my whole life. And so I know how to adjust in those times. But it means it will affect you more than it will affect me, is what I'm saying. For the people that's moving that way. That shit, it's not going to affect me the way it affects you guys. And then pretty much you're getting paid to ethnocide yourself. They may not tell you that. You may not know that. You may not be aware of that. You may not even care about that in lieu of, we all have to die anyways. But just know that we all have to account for what we did in various vector spaces, and this one in particular being the third dimension. You do have to answer or make an account, not really answer, but like you have to take into account in terms of what's your next state of consciousness or what's your graduation level in the next transitory state of your evolution or de-evolution. That's just how it goes. And so I would say you want to do the behaviors that create the frequency that you want to be in. That feels authentic to yourself and truthful to yourself. And if you can be bought, if your loyalty can be bought, you already lost the plot. You're already working at a deficit. You know what I mean? Nonetheless, you're dealing with this type of system, a type of system that rewards the sellouts. And so you have to, for the militias, your job is to create a mechanism to disincentivize or to punish those who get the rewards or seek the rewards to sell out. And that's it. You read between the lines of what that means. So for those that you know is just willing to do that, you already have the mechanisms in place to de-incentivize that. Second, say you got people that want to work to build those data centers. They simply want to, make some money or whatever. We understand that. We understand the situation that we all live in. But you want to give the warning that they should not work on those data centers. Give them the information on why. So a simple pamphlet. Women should be making these pamphlets of all the ways in which these data centers are harmful, what they do to the ecosystem, to you as a human. Give them the tangible outlook on like how they raise the energy bills, what they cost, violations on the way they affect the water, the earth, sun, but the way it affects you, your food supply, your energy costs, your electric bills, your water bills, all of that stuff. You do all of that. And you put it in a pamphlet and you give it to the workers, you may have some advocacy work. This is not militia work. Do not bring armed guns to advocacy protests. That's how one militia got literally put down behind confusing the work between activism and militia work. You don't do that. You don't mix the two. That was I'm gonna be real. I found two militias, but they're still kind of moving, so I don't want to put them on blast. But I'll just tell you one that's kind of neutralized, the Black Panther Party. That's where they got caught up. Confusing what a militia do and what an activist do can get you literally federally locked up. So don't do that. When it's time, always have a separate. Don't bring armed. When it's time for activism, advocacy, you make that known. Don't bring armed weapons, where you make a mistake as a federal agent, sniper on the thing, and you end up pointing accidentally. Now you got 7 years. You see what I'm saying? So you don't want to do that. They got you on picture on a camera somewhere pointing it as you scoping the perimeter or the vicinity, and then boom, they got you right there on federal charge. And you just protesting, the data center. So don't do that. When it's time to do your drill arms and your militia practices, that's something where you do in a safe environment. You separate the two. It's as simple as that. You find something where you just make sure it's not a protest. Now, when it comes to the advocacy part of getting out those pamphlets and those flyers or whatever, you could probably do door. You could if you had to probably have. You could probably do door to door. You could probably do if you know people in your neighborhood, your neighbors, whatever. You just get them pamphlets out to around them. You get it all out. You know what I mean? You do. You find that way. Now, when it comes to the actual workers who apply, and you see people going in and out, you find where they gonna hold those interviews at. You find where they putting them. Where they say, where they tell you to here go apply and maybe they're not doing interviews, but look to where, where's the paychecks coming from? And then you start making a list of all that stuff. You make it public. You might need some text to get in them systems. I'm just saying this is warfare time. If it get that bad, this is just a theoretical. I'm not telling people to go and do nothing. I'm just giving you a theoretical scenario. As simple as that. You got anonymous and all types of stuff. These are the people that's receiving paychecks. Make those names public. This is the company that's paying the paychecks for these people to build these data centers. Make them public. Okay? Now, what your militia does when you see the actual building up of it, it's not a protest or it's not, but you, this is what the role of the militia should be doing. Damn, I don't know if I should. I can't put this out there. I can't say that. Read between the lines. When you know that there are nefarious actors trying to enslave humanity, trying to enslave people, trying to ruin the earth, trying to carry out a satanic agenda, what do? So you may want to think of You understand the terrain. You understand your environment. And you have to stick and move. You would have to stick and move as a militia. You would have to have some working understanding of what guerrilla warfare is. And you would need to know who your targets are and why you targeted them. And it must be justified under the Most High before you go at, oh, you just don't like the person. No, if you know, you have to know that if for 100% that there is proof, and you need to show the rest of the militia members, say, I already know that you humans is going to try to turn it into some race thing, and you're going to mess it up, and you're going to fumble, and they're going to tighten the rope around you even more, and it's going to be justified when they get petitioned to the angel kingdom, because you wanted to think about race. You wanted to, your whole thing was, oh, black people are just trying, oh, they getting too much, oh, let me build, let's go terrorize them. And I'm telling you what's going to happen to you if you take that approach. If you take that low level, low frequency, idiotic approach, you go into the slaughterhouse. By the Most High himself is going to send you there, because you're not even trying to evolve. When a whole government is declared war on everybody, the first thing your silly ass thing to do is go and go look at go attack some black people. They ain't got nothing. They ain't doing nothing. They ain't got nothing to do with it. But if some of them do, just like the white counterparts, then they have to be accountable. But we're not talking about that. So these militias have to be designed to fight against tyranny and fascism and illegal violations and violations of the Constitution. And that's it. They have to, that's just common sense. And you're complaining about data centers. You're complaining about what they doing in the government, and you know your government has abandoned you, you know your government don't give a damn about none of us, then that's the only way. There's no other recourse. You got to look at your Constitution. You got to know what it say. You got to act intelligently. You have to have a root cause analysis before, and a good assessment of why you taking the actions you're taking, though. That means good information. What are you acting on? And what is the evidence of that? And how good is that evidence? Is it something you can see with your eyes, or is it some AI generated clip or something? Make sure it's something that you have been affected with, and it's a pattern of it as far as multiple districts, multiple neighbors complaining. Neighbors got bills to prove their electric is going on. Neighbors got doctors. Neighbors is going to the doctors about the same thing, the same complaints, because of them having chemicals and stuff that's coming from these data centers into the water. So you got to have that evidence, collect that evidence, make that evidence public. You guys don't have to spend 10 to 15 years trying to build a new system, a parallel infrastructure, and then you guys can have, some rest. But let's say you guys don't want to do that. Fine. But then this is, whatever you get is what you get. What you do or what you don't do. There'll be a group of us that is going to choose the way of sovereignty, the way of that's in alignment with our soul. That's all we know. We don't know nothing else. We know to choose what's right. And we know that in this day and age, the truth does matter. And who tells the truth matter? But the truth does matter. It's not the day and age anymore where you can just create unintelligent narratives. A narrative that's rooted in what you perceive to be true. You might get away with it. But these narratives that they trying to get us to go along with is too unintelligent for any human with a soul to just go along with. Any spiritual being, any angel, even a demon. It's too unintelligent for us to just go along with it. Somebody has to pay you to go along with it. Somebody has to pay you to be unintelligent, pretty much. Somebody has to pay you for your own demise. pretty much. And so that's what you're dealing with. And so this is just a working framework of, you guys add to it. You guys carve stuff out way, or you guys have probably more mechanisms and of how to organize it better than what I just gave on here. But it's a start in terms of just what's the action item, making sure that these data centers don't come into our community in mass. But remember, you want to start the militia is the action item. Get that boycott list going. Create the mechanism. Get them pamphlets out for the rest of your neighbors to know the dangers of those data centers. Show any evidence of how it's harming, especially if it's health. You guys want to collect all the data of people going to these doctors. Don't just lie either. Make sure, this is your real ailment since this center has been being built. Get the name of the CEOs. Get the name of all the companies. Boycott them. Then create mechanisms within the militias to de-incentivize people to take those rewards to sell out, as well as to even work those jobs. Find out the companies that pay those paychecks. Find out where they office at, all of that. That's how you do that. And you combat it that way. That's how you combat the data center situation, Now, it's a lot going on. It's a lot of tension. It's a lot of racial tension. It's just a lot going on. What I would tell people is to grow the fuck up. You don't like somebody because of their color of their skin. Okay, you can't evolve your soul. You're very insecure. Fine. Go your separate way. Ain't nobody care about anybody. We ain't about to be in the day and age and except me and we shall overcome and we gonna march and kumbaya. Don't nobody give a fuck about that. I'm telling you now, both white and black, Latina, Asian. Don't nobody give a fuck about that. And you got a group of us that values diversity. You got a group of people that values more ethnocentric perspectives. For me, I ain't gonna hold you. I can go either way. I honestly don't care. But I'm not gonna I don't believe in forcing nothing. I don't believe in forcing myself on nobody. I don't believe in forcing people to get along. I don't believe in forcing people to live next to each other and they don't want to live next to each other. They don't like each other. I don't believe in all that. But I also think you should be mature enough to go your own way, develop your own ecosystems, and don't say nothing when it come back to bite you. Don't go get jealous of, the niggas done figured out something and they got something popping. They done took 10 years and they got something popping. Don't come trying to attack them. When you say you didn't want to live around, okay, cool beans with me, okay? But don't get mad when they Atlantis 2.0 on your ass and then you up there looking like the potato famine Irish, and then you want to come and attack them because we gonna have the GIA on your motherfucking ass. Okay, we gonna have some galactic shit for that ass. We ain't doing that. We ain't doing them days no more where it's just gonna be a riot and then motherfuckers just gonna be all sad and stuff. No, look, we just trying. We telling you, we just keeping it a buck. And that go vice versa. Ain't nobody gonna come and, we got to take what you got. You gonna take what we... Nah. You got to defend what you work hard for and what you build up. It's just as common sense. But honestly, black people don't have a history of attacking other neighborhoods based on what they have. You don't see no riots. You don't have no history of going to have no riots to go take someone else's stuff. There's no history of it. It's just not. There is no history of it. And so, I'm aware that there's racial tensions. I didn't know it was this bad. I ain't gonna hold you because I live in my own little world. But if it's this, you guys, they're talking about, they had this bill called 2103, where pretty much it was a loophole that white nationalists were using to be able to build white-only communities. And that was a law it was a legal loophole or something like that. And so the Democrats started to attack it, but then they wanted black people all riled up about it. But then, millennials, Gen Zs, and alphas, we were intelligent. We're like, why would we care? We don't want to live by nobody that don't want to live near us. What if we want to use the bill? What if we want to build an organization and just have and live amongst ourselves? Why, if they want to do that, yes, we might think we may look at it as immature. We may look at it as okay, whatever. But why would we want to live next to people that's hostile to black people anyways? Why would we want to live next to somebody that's saying we don't like you because of your race? And we want a white-only town. Why would you expect black people to want to live around somebody that states out their mouth they want a white-only town? You know what I mean? Like, we not in the 60s. Niggas is not dumb, and we don't have that low self-esteem. Like, we don't give a shit. I don't live near you either. Is the response. Is the only proper response. Okay? Get the fuck on then. What makes you think I want to live in? Oh, bye. Keep it moving. Don't let the door hit you. The good Lord split you. You keep it moving. You got to go home. You got to get the hell out of here. Keep it moving. You know, like, why would you expect us? They wanted us to get all riled. The Democrats wanted us to get all riled up. Like, oh, they trying to do, like, no, we ain't in that. Yeah, y'all can't trick us. This is not the 60s where we going to get out there. Oh, we going to march on some. We shall overcome. With some black people and white people knowing they don't like each other, walking down the street in a hot-ass Alabama somewhere. Hot as fuck. Sweating in a suit. You think niggas is about to do that these days in 2025? 2026, right? Oh, shit. I bet 2026. Y'all done lost y'all rabbit mind. I said, y'all we gotta, come on now. I don't know who running this matrix, who running this simulation, but y'all not with the times. And got too manipulative, and it's too unintelligent. I'm not even gonna hold you. That's too unintelligent. They about mind control. They about trying to control people through these simulations, you know, and through them psyops. Like I've been telling y'all since 2022. I've been telling y'all psychological opera. I have a whole video talking about psyops, and I didn't even know that, that I was on to something. You just be talking. Nonetheless, let's get this. Think strategically, think intelligently this time. Around. If there's people that don't want to get along or whatever, they say they don't want to live next to this person, that person. Okay, leave it at that. Leave it at that. Sometimes you just got to know yourself. And sometimes you just got to put good leaders in good positions, support good people among you, support people that's good humanitarians. Don't leave them hanging, and build on what I put out in that framework. And I think people should be good. I do. I think that a lot of times, it'd be a lot of distractions and stuff, and that's true too. A lot of this stuff could be a distraction, but at the same time, I ain't gonna hold you. You don't know how if somebody's trying to trap you into a distraction. You get what I'm saying? Like, sometimes you have to fight your way just to preserve your peace, or even to create a new system, because you don't know the threat of what if them people can't leave out, or if them people are trapped or whatever, and they need other people, or they part of their contract is to go get souls, then that does pose a threat to those of us that know it's a distraction. Even if we know it's a distraction, even if we know it's an illusion, and if we know it's a matrix, their job is to keep us stuck, and to keep us all into that, and to focus and idolizing them. And because we say, no, we're not idolizing your dumb ass. You ain't do nothing special around here. We saw you. We caught you copycatting your whole thing. No, we ain't idolizing you. For what? No, you sat for 30, 40 years knowing they was doing that child trafficking. No, we ain't idol. You come all Johnny come lately trying to act like you this and that. And you got all these rappers and all this. You sat and talked about crack and hoes and bees every time. Now you want to come and act like you pro-black. No, we're not idolizing you. We're not idolizing none of these people. We need to start anew, and we're not about to be put into, now you want to give us an incremental, act like it's an incremental change in the system when we all down bad still, because you want us to idolize charlatans. I'm not idolizing them people. Y'all can go and idolize them, and that go even for the church. A lot of them pastors got to come up out of there. They do, because they did they people dirty too. But really, they all one and the same. I just want y'all to know that. Like, there is no versus or us versus them type of thing, because the whole thing got to be cleansed anew. Structured anew. Anew is the key word. Anew. Literally, anew the Kemet style, but also anew, like in English. A-N-E-W. All new. All new. It all has to be new. I don't know what y'all thinking. Like, they trying to recycle people from 40, 50 years ago to come out among us. And it's like, yo, I done seen you for look, you a part of the system. You a part of the problem. I don't want to hear shit you got to say. I really don't. I don't want to hear it. So you also want to take that approach too as people. Okay, let me get up off of here. Bye.